Here's my audience. All right. Today I'm giving my speech on how to plant a garden. So to start, when I was in Women's, I planted my first garden. That's what I did for one of my Faith in God requirements to complete my Young Ones medallion. And this is how I got into gardening and how I decided that it was a lot harder than I thought it was going to be. While gardening may seem like a simple task, it actually takes more work, education, and knowledge and dedication than you would think. I've now grown a garden for a couple years now with my family. It's one of my favorite hobbies. It's good to bring into the family, and it's just fun to do. Gardens not only allow you to spend time with your family outdoors in the sunshine and the fresh air, but they also bring in produce and bring a great sense of accomplishment as you're making a salad for dinner with your vegetables from your garden. When maintaining and creating a successful garden, there are about 5 main steps. Now, the first step is deciding what size of garden you're wanting to plant. Whether you want it to be your whole backyard and you want to produce so much, or just a small box in your backyard, like how we do, because we don't have that much time to create or maintain our whole backyard of garden. The easiest way to decide how big your garden is going to be is to make a list of items that you would want in your garden, things that you normally buy at the grocery store that you're going to try to grow yourself, and things that you eat regularly. You want to be sure to plant the items that you know your family will eat as well. If nobody in your family likes tomatoes, don't grow tomatoes. Once you've decided the best produce to grow in your garden, you'll need to decide how big. While doing this, you need to remember that each item in your garden needs individual space and a row or plot to grow. This will help you decide how much produce you want, is how big you need your garden to be. We have 2 gardens in our backyard about the size of a twin bed each, and they work perfect. The smaller garden you have, the easier it is to take care of. Step 2 is planting your garden. Before you start planting, you already have the size of your garden. You'll need to till the ground and add fresh soil. The easiest way to that makes it way easier to plant the seeds so they have plenty of moisture in the healthy soil. Planting your garden is one of my favorite parts, other than harvesting, of course. While doing this, you'll need to make sure you follow the directions on the bag of your seed. That way, you know if you plant them in a row, how deep you need to plant them, how much space they need to grow, how big your plant is planning on getting. And the third step is maintaining your garden once it's planted. Maintaining your garden tends to be the most work. It's the trickiest part. On my first garden, I had a hard time finding time to go outside, and weeds just started overtaking my garden. And at that point, I was my first garden. I didn't know what I was doing. I didn't know what a weed was compared to what my plant was actually going to grow into, so wasn't sure what to pull out. But most weeds will come up in about like the form of grass. You'll need to pick them and pick everything that's not in your rows or pods, just in case that your seeds spread a little bit. You want it to stay in its rows so that you stay organized in your garden bed. And you want all your nutrients in the soil and all your water to go to the plants in your garden rather than the weeds. So you want to pull them as soon as you see them growing. My mom would always try to plant gardens when we were young, and she would get so excited and do awesome at the beginning, and then she'd get everything planted perfectly in their rows, the exact amount deep they need to be, and then she would neglect her garden. She neglected it until the garden looked like a jungle in the middle of the season. There would be huge, tall weeds, 3 feet tall. You wouldn't even be able to tell that there were plants growing in there. You definitely have to maintain your garden better than my busy mom did to have a successful garden. The 4th step is protecting your garden. This includes spraying it so the bugs will stay out and covering it when the weather is cold. I was raised in Idaho, so every spring we would have a very cold rush in the spring. You definitely have to cover your garden right as it's planted when the snowfall comes unexpectedly in spring, like it does every year. We would always cover our garden because it was the perfect size with like a bed sheet, or you can use anything from a plastic garbage sack or a blanket just to keep the snow off and keep your garden in better shape. Harvesting your garden. Now this is the best part. When harvesting your garden, you don't want to do it all at once. That will be very overwhelming and not everything is ready all at the same time. The best is to take what you need each morning, what you need for each meal, and then some of your vegetables will grow faster. Your carrots aren't going to be ready at the same time as your lettuce, and your squash and pumpkins are always the longest to be ready to harvest. And so if you harvest it all at the same time, you'll have some small, not you'll have raw vegetables, right vegetables. In conclusion, as you can see, gardening may take a little more time and effort than you would think, but the benefits definitely make it worth it. The harvest is awesome in families, and it's a good family bonding activity as well. And now you know how to decide the size of your produce, um, how big you want your garden to be, what you want to plant, how to maintain and protect your garden as well. I challenge you all to begin a garden. Start the preparations now so you can plant this spring.